Live from New York. Good to have you in on a Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. This is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing on today's episode so far? How you doing? It's Friday.
I'm always happy on a Friday.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely incredible. Veterans Day is tomorrow. We're celebrating it today.
Tomorrow or Monday?
I think it's tomorrow. It's what, November 11th, which is tomorrow. So we're celebrating now. We don't have a show on Saturday, so might as well celebrate it now. So we appreciate the veterans out there. Thank you for serving our country.
Thank you.
And for the current ones, thank you for putting your life on the line to protect our country. We have a pretty big show, massive NFL weekend coming up. This may be actually some of the worst games. We're just going to put that out there. This may be one of the worst, at least prime time-wise, that the NFL has had in a while. And before we jump into this topic, because we are doing our final standings predictions, I'm going to say this right now. I feel really bad for Amazon spending, $4 billion to get Thursday Night Football rights. It seems like every single one of those games has been absolutely either boring or the teams haven't been good or whatever the case may be. It's just very, very bad.
What's the
games.
Viewership there? I watch it. I mean,
I'm sure a lot of people do. Yeah, but
I'm sure they get a lot of viewership.
But if you're telling me, what would you rather watch? Would you rather watch the Lakers play, or would you rather watch the Bears and the Panthers play? I think more people would choose the Lakers.
The Bears-Panthers game was pretty hard to watch.
It's pretty. I mean, we talk about. I always mention this. The Colts-Broncos game last year, that was brutal. I mean, you have the occasional really good one. Next week should be perfectly fine. Ravens-Bengals, that should be great.
That should be great.
I think the first one that they ever had may have been Chargers-Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. That I'm sure is going to be great. That was great. So they have a couple, but I think the majority of them are. The only thing I liked
about last night's game was the Bears uniforms.
Yes.
I thought they looked really sharp with that orange helmet.
Absolutely,
very nice.
Absolutely. All right, so we do this about twice a year, 2 to 3 times a year, where we basically make our standings predictions for the NFL season. We did this entering week 1. A lot has changed. I am able to change it twice because I do it 3 times. One before the preseason, after the preseason, heading into week 1, and then midway through the year, which we are currently at right now. You do it right before week 1 and right now. So this is our final chance to make correct standings predictions. We're going to be alternating AFC East, each AFC East, then we're going to go through AFC, the NFC. You'll get the gist of it. But let's start with the first one for my AFC East. A little bit of a change here. So for me, at least, the Dolphins were originally the number 3 spot for me. I had the Jets at the number 2 and the Bills at the number 1. For me, obviously, the Dolphins right now, I think while their last 3 or 4 games are brutal, the Bills right now are on a major decline, and they actually play arguably a tougher schedule with tougher teams, and especially with a declining team. I do not like the direction they're going in. I got the Bills at number 2. The Jets have fallen off a cliff at number 3. They're 500, however. Zach Wilson looks at least somewhat acceptable currently. I don't know if he's the long-term answer, and the Patriots are absolutely abysmal. They stay, at least for me, in the number 4 spot. Your turn now.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same spot as you. I feel so bad about the Patriots having such a poor season, given that I'm a big fan of theirs. Miami, I didn't expect to be in first place. I thought the Bills would be. And I thought the Patriots would be up there in, I think, second place, right? I had them in second place, and I thought they would be a playoff team. That's not going to happen, I don't think. I thought the Jets would be in last place. They played a lot better. I was disappointed in them on Sunday night. Was it Monday night football? Yeah, they were poor, right? And Zach Wilson did not play well. And he's been showing some promise, and he regressed. I think he regressed in that game. So I don't know. Well, they're thinking that Aaron Rodgers might. If they have a playoff chance later and he's able to go, then he would come back. Otherwise, he wouldn't. I'm not sure. I don't think they're going to be there.
I think if Zach Wilson makes the playoffs, who would you rather trust, a 40-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury or Zach Wilson who got you to the playoffs?
Probably Zach Wilson.
That's what I wouldn't trust a 40-year-old quarterback who last time we saw him was
they had
declining.
no practice or anything,
right.
And I don't think he should put himself in that spot, actually. I mean, he wants to because he's never been
keeps,
hurt like this.
He keeps being in the spotlight, throwing footballs, walk without crutches, joking around with players. I'll be back in a couple weeks. He's putting himself out there on the spot, and people are reacting to it.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson, I mean, that can't exactly, publicly he's obviously going to say that doesn't affect him, but deep down, he's constantly saying, oh, hold on, Jets, I'll be right back. You just got to maintain the status quo, keep it at least, somewhat acceptable. I don't know.
He's never been hurt like this. He's never been out. It's probably killing him. It's really hard for him.
I'm sure
he wanted to play football this year.
Right.
He played 4 plays.
Was it 75 seconds of total NFL action? All right, let's get into my AFC North prediction. So I had the Bengals at my number 1 spot last time. I'm swapping them with the Baltimore Ravens, but Ravens were at number 2 entering week 1. The Ravens look like one of the best teams in the NFL right now. They're obviously a top 3 team in the NFL currently, and the Bengals, because of that first 3 or 4 game slow start, I can't say that they'll overcome the Ravens and have just an absolutely dominant rest of the year, and the Ravens may drop off a little bit. I'm going to say we're just going to maintain the way the season has played out so far, with the Ravens being as dominant as they have been. The Bengals, they're on the up and up. And then right now, the Steelers, and Browns, and Bengals currently are all tied with the same record. I do think the Steelers and Browns will fight for that number 3 spot. And right now, every single one of these teams is in the playoffs. I'm curious to see how the season ends up. But for me, Ravens are now number 1, Bengals are number 2, Steelers and Browns remain at the 3 and 4 spot.
Yeah, I didn't think the Ravens would be first place either, but I'm picking them now, just like you. Actually, I think we're right in the same. We have the same lineup now, and the Bengals. I'm sure they're going to make the playoffs now. The way they're playing, they started out slow last year. Same thing this year. Joe Burrow this year hurt at the very beginning of the year. Really, just taking him a while to get going, and now he's really looking good. So I'm pretty sure the Bengals are going to be there, but they'll be a wild card this time. Pittsburgh, yeah, they got them where they were, 3rd place. They could make the playoffs. I think they have a chance, and the Browns, I don't think will.
Okay.
They're in there now, but I don't think they will be by the end of the year.
Interesting. All right, let's go with the AFC South. I said before this season, look out for the Houston Texans. They're going to be a very, very interesting team. What I didn't expect from them is to basically be at the number 2 spot in the AFC South. I thought they'd be number 3. I thought the Titans may be a little bit more respectable at the number 2 spot. And I would say the AFC South basically repeats itself for a number of years, at least as it has been, with the Titans either being number 1, number 2, and now with Trevor Lawrence being who he is, being the developed quarterback that he appears to be. The Jaguars are probably, I would say it's between them and the Texans that are going to take over this division moving forward. But for me, I had the Texans at number 3, the Titans at number 2. Those switch. Jacksonville stays at 1. And the Colts, they're interesting right now. They are interesting with Gardner Minshew. However, they will be eventually set in the number 4 spot in the AFC South.
Yeah, I'm not changing anything. I think I got this one right so far. I think Jacksonville, they're looking good. They played pretty well all year. I guess they started a little slow at the very beginning, but they played well every game. They're competitive. They've had some tough games, and they've won them. Tennessee, now I'm looking for them to climb back up into the 2nd spot because of Will Levis. I think he's going to show something here. He can throw the deep ball very accurately. He brings a spark to that team. I think he's there. Looks like can be the quarterback of the future for them. I think they get a bounce with him and move back up into that 2nd spot. And Houston, you got to give C.J. Stroud a lot of credit, man. He's the rookie of the year in my book. And Houston, I think that maybe 2 and 3 will flip here, but right now I think Houston's going to regress a little bit now in the latter part of the season, and Tennessee will take over, and the Colts will be in last place.
All right, let's move on to the AFC West. So I think this is pretty self-explanatory for me. Nothing changes. This is the way it was said. The Chiefs number 1, Chargers number 2, Broncos number 3, Raiders number 4. Chiefs, they're a very, very surprising team with the amount of talent they have on the offensive side. A lot of questions, but the defense for the Chiefs have been the story so far this season. The Chargers, they're at 500. They need to get that defense right if they're going to go anywhere. If Brandon Staley wants to keep his job, he needs to get his side of the ball right, and they need to have some sort of success. The Broncos, I thought they could double their wins. I think they're going to get close to doubling, or at least Russell Wilson doubling his wins from last season. I think it's going to get close, But I think just because you have Aiden O'Connell and an interim head coach, it'll make things interesting, but the Raiders will eventually be settled into the number 4 spot, and the Denver Broncos will be in that 3rd spot. Russell Wilson has a slight down year, but it's not as bad as last year, because last year was absolutely pitiful.
And for me, the only change here is the Raiders moving up to the 3rd spot and the Broncos into last place. I think that the Raiders get a spark by firing their coach. You saw them win pretty big last week, although they were playing the
Giants.
The Giants. There wasn't too much competition, but I think they get a spark with the new coach and finish the season a little stronger than we might have thought. And the Broncos, last place.
The NFC now. Let's go with the NFC East. So nothing really changes, but I think to surprise a lot of people, weren't expecting us for the Commanders to be at least as good as they are right now. And you know what? I expected the Giants to be bad, but I thought the Commanders with Sam Howell, who was a big unknown, and the Commanders overall not being a really great team, especially with some internal struggles right before the start of the season. I had them in last place, but the Giants are terrible. Daniel Jones had a horrible season. He regressed back to pre-Brian Daboll Daniel Jones. Not only that, you had Tyrod Taylor after Daniel Jones got hurt, and when Daniel Jones came back, he threw 9 passes, completed 4 of them, and tore his ACL again. So it's up to Tommy DeVito and whoever else, every other quarterback they could just pick up off the street and sign to the practice squad if Tommy DeVito isn't the answer, which clearly he's not. But is he the best option for the Giants moving forward? They're officially in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. I think they're going to be right there to the end of the year to try to get Caleb Williams. If the Cardinals, which I expect with Kyler Murray to pick it up a little bit, they'll win more games. Bryce Young and the Panthers should be able to win more games. If you're the number 1 overall pick of the previous draft, you should be able to win more than a singular game. And then I think the Bears, they're right there as well, but they just won, so maybe the Giants could sneak in somehow with Tommy DeVito as their quarterback to get the 1st overall pick. You don't even need to trade up. And there you go. The Giants, the last place. Commanders move up 1 spot to the number 3 spot. But the Philadelphia Eagles, I think for the first time in a long time, they will reclaim the NFC East title once again, back-to-back. The Cowboys go back to the number 2 spot. So I think it's going to be very, very close. We could see, 13-4, 12-5. I don't know, something like that. It's going to be a very, very close record at the very end of the season. But that is my list. Eagles 1, Cowboys 2, Commanders 3, Giants 4.
We're the same, right?
Yeah,
I thought the Commanders would be in last place and the Giants would play a little better than what they're doing, which is awful. And maybe they will sneak in and get the first first pick in the draft. We'll have to wait and see. They're fighting the Panthers, which I don't know if the Panthers will win another game. They look pretty bad.
Yeah.
The Commanders have I think a quarterback for the future with Sam Howell. He looks good. He's throwing for 300 yards every game practically. Their offense is 400 yards a game. It's really pretty impressive considering they have such a poor offensive line and he's been sacked so much. He's a tough guy and he's playing well. I think he's their quarterback of the future. And I do think the Eagles, they could get back to the Super Bowl this year. The Cowboys will be in the playoffs too, but we know what their history is, so we'll have to wait and see. But I think those two are both playoff teams.
All right, let's go to the NFC North. This nothing changes for me. I said the Lions will win the division. They're primed to win the division. What I find interesting is, while I thought the Minnesota Vikings would be good enough to make the playoffs potentially with Kirk Cousins, I didn't expect Joshua Dobbs to now be the starting quarterback of the Vikings, but I still think they're going to get that number 2 spot in the NFC North. The Packers with Jordan Love, he hasn't looked that great. One of the lowest completion percentages in the league. So I don't know if he's exactly the quarterback for the future. And then the Chicago Bears, we just saw them last night. Tyson Bagent is their quarterback 1. Justin Fields is trying to get out there. I hope for him to get back out there. They'll win a couple more games, but right now there's a lot of question marks in Chicago whether or not Justin Fields is the quarterback for the future, just like in Green Bay. I think right now if I had to say Justin Fields versus Jordan Love, I'd probably take Justin Fields. However, his record does not speak very highly. I believe he's 6-25. I'll also say this: Tyson Bagent has more wins this season than Justin Fields did. That's something that's an interesting point there. Tyson Bagent has more wins this season than Justin Fields. Just going to throw that out there. But in order, Lions 1, Vikings 2, Packers 3, Bears number 4.
Yeah, I flipped with the Packers and the Vikings here. The Vikings definitely are better than the Packers. I don't think Jordan Love's the real deal. I think they'll be moving off him. He, big step down for the Packers this year without Aaron Rodgers. The Vikings, I think, they could be a playoff team, actually. I mean, there's so much parity in the NFL now. These teams just over 500 have probably a chance to get into the playoffs. And we'll see what Joshua Dobbs can do with a team that really has some offensive weapons. They get what's his name? Their elite wide receiver. Who's
Justin Jefferson?
Justin Jefferson, right? He gets back out on the field. Dobbs throwing him. Dobbs moves around well. The pocket. Who knows? He may be a starting quarterback next year in the NFL.
Those are some bold words right there. Starting quarterback. All right, let's go into the NFC South for me. This is a little bit of a shakeup here. I expected the Panthers to be a little bit better. I actually had them, I believe, in my preseason standings prediction. I had them in number 2. Then I realized, no, we got to calm it down for a second. The Falcons right now are obviously better than the Panthers. Just look at their team. They had like a number 4 offensive line last year. Their defense was supposed to be really good. They had Bijan. They just got Bijan Robinson in the draft. They're going to be good. So I put the Saints 1. They had the second easiest schedule, I believe, or the easiest. The Falcons were right there with one of the easiest schedules as well. Tampa Bay, I got to move them up 1 spot. I thought Baker Mayfield would be a cataclysmic failure for them. He's been better than I think a lot of people thought he would. So I got to admit, he's played very, very well for them so far, but has he played good enough? Maybe. I'm not sure. Will he be the quarterback next year? If I had to take a guess, I think they like what they see more than they dislike, so I guess he'll be on the roster next season. But the Panthers are bad. The Panthers are really, really bad. They're primed to be one of the worst teams moving forward unless they figure out some way to fix this roster. I believe they don't have a first-round pick this season, so they can't immediately go in and get a top-tier first-round pick talent unless they trade up in the draft, which they already did last season, to get Bryce Young. Bryce Young looks small. Bryce Young doesn't look great. So I'm going to say Saints 1, Falcons 2, Bucks 3, and Panthers 4 in the NFC South.
My two, nothing. We're just the same here. Again,
yeah, we match a lot.
Tampa Bay is better than I thought they would be. Baker Mayfield's played pretty well. The defense was pretty good early on, but it's kind of faded. Right, their record's now 3-5. They're not good. I don't think they're going anywhere. I don't think any of these teams are going anywhere except the Saints winning the division, and then I don't think they're going anywhere in the playoffs. So this division continues to be one of the weakest.
All right, and let's wrap up with the last one, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is the same, unless it's slightly different. Okay, I thought it was the same. For me, at least, it is the same. I had the 49ers winning the NFC West. I thought they were clearly the best team. They at least used to be. I think they actually added with Chase Young. They're the deepest team in the NFL still. Executing-wise, it has not been anywhere close to the level of talent they've had. I mean, they scored 17 points in 3 straight games. It's been very, very bad. Brock Purdy does not look great right now, but can he bounce back this week? I think it's going to be tough against a Jaguars team that's really, really good right now. The Seahawks, I had them in number 3. I had the Rams I had the Rams at number 2. I had the Seahawks at number 3 in my entering Week 1 standings prediction. I'm going to back up on that, and I'm going to say the Seahawks 2, Rams 3, especially with Matt Stafford dealing with an injury, and the Seahawks with Geno Smith being as effective as he has been actually for the past couple seasons. And then the Cardinals, they're the Cardinals, especially with Kyler Murray being out now it's going to be 9 weeks, as we kind of guessed. He's going to come back this week. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. With Kyler Murray coming back, they should win a couple of games, but since he was out for a majority of the season, for about half the season, you kind of expected them to be bad, even if Josh Dobbs was their quarterback, or if it was David Bloch, even if it was Clayton Tune. It doesn't matter who the quarterback was. If it's not Kyler Murray, you're probably going to lose a bunch of games. And right now, currently, they've only won one singular game, and it was a virtuoso against the Cowboys. So this is expected. Nothing changes for me. The NFC West goes 49ers 1, Seahawks 2, Rams 3, and Cardinals 4.
Yeah, I'm flipping the Rams and the Seahawks. I thought the Rams would be better than they are. that Matthew Stafford is banged up. I don't know. Is he going to play any more this year? I think he's having a tough time. So I think the Rams have decent receivers, but they got to have somebody to throw it to them. So and their defense hasn't been so great. So I see the Rams dropping down and the Seahawks moving up. I should have picked the Seahawks second to begin with. I think they, Geno Smith, he's showing the same kind of improvement that he did last year. And generally the Seahawks are a well-coached team, and they usually have decent defense. Probably give a shot at making the playoffs here. 49ers, definitely number one here, and I think they'll go very deep into the playoffs. The Cardinals, they've got Kyler Murray coming back this weekend. It'll be interesting to see how he plays. Probably going to be a little tentative coming off an ACL injury, his first game back all year. So I'll be interested in seeing how he does.
All right, that wraps up our standings predictions. We'll hopefully recap it at the end of the year to see who is more right, although we agreed on a bunch of these picks, so we'll have to wait and see. Let's go on with our next topic. What a game it was. Kind of, maybe in the negative version of that. The Panthers had an opportunity to tie the game and send it into overtime, but missed a 59-yard field goal to send that game into overtime, and the Bears get the win 16-13. We do not cover the spread on that one. Sadly, it was a -3.5. We do not cover. However, we did get the Bears to win correct. So at least we were half right so far this week. Bryce Young didn't look too good. 185 yards, no touchdowns. I think if you look at the game again, there was potentially 2 or 3 passes that could have easily gotten picked off. It was not a very, very good game for the number 1 overall pick in this past year's draft. You picked him. You mock drafted him number 1, and he did go number 1 in the draft. Do you think the Panthers made a mistake in drafting Bryce Young at number 1?
Yeah, they should have taken Stroud. Right? Stroud has outplayed Young by a mile. Stroud gets it. He knows what to do. He's out there. He makes the right decisions. He's quick. He throws a really nice ball. He doesn't put the team in a bad situation by throwing interceptions. He's hardly thrown any interceptions this year. He's the rookie of the year, no doubt about it. He should have been picked first.
So, I mean, I picked him first, so I kind of, I'm like, yeah, no, obviously, yeah. No, but I mean, a lot of people are going to argue about how bad the offensive line was for this team, and I agree. No, the offensive line so far this season has not been good for the Panthers, and also you have to realize they traded away their best receiver to the team that they just played last night in the Chicago Bears to go up and get this quarterback.
He was the leading receiver in the game, too.
Yeah, no, so I think when they make decisions like that, where you have an opportunity to draft a guy like Bryce Young. However, though, when you see an S2 test, there was a chance, actually, that the Panthers... There was a lot of rumors that the Panthers were going to probably other draft. Will Levis got a lot of first-place mock draft predictions. Right before the draft, his stock was rising for number 1, but it really was up to C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. There's a lot of issues that I see with Bryce Young. First of all, severely undersized. He's a very, very undersized quarterback, and not only that, we've already seen him. He's got hurt already this year. He's got hurt, and when you're that small and you're going to talk about 325-pound men, your career may not be that long. We see Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's dealing with injuries already, and he's dealing with stuff. You have a lot of undersized quarterbacks that don't exactly turn out great. Also, I'll say this: Bryce Young, I don't love his decision making. Like I mentioned in the quick breakdown in this game. There were 2 or 3 passes that could have easily gotten picked off, but you're up against a defense like the Bears, who are one of the worst defenses in the league. Overall, I should say. There's some stats that say that they're good in certain categories, but overall, the Bears do not have a very good defense, and it showed. But speaking about that offensive line, if you were to take a guess who got pressured more last night, who would you guess? I'll say right now, it wasn't Bryce Young. It was Tyson Bagent who got pressured more last night. And he performed better.
Yeah. Well, I think that the games I've watched Bryce Young play, he looks uncomfortable and lacks confidence.
Right.
Yeah. He looks uncomfortable and doesn't seem to have a lot of confidence. So, I don't know. Maybe that comes to playing more. You look at Stroud, he looks like he has all the confidence in the world. Yeah. And he's very comfortable in that offense. So, I don't know if C.J. Stroud was with Carolina. with their offensive line and their coaching staff and everything, maybe he wouldn't be playing as well as he is now. Coaching has something to do with this, I think.
I agree.
And certainly the talent on the offensive side of the ball has a lot to do with it, too. So it may not all be on Bryce Young, but he certainly looks uncomfortable and lacks confidence.
I'll say this. Do you think he would have more? Because think about it. People were campaigning for Steve Wilkes to get the head coaching job. A lot of people were saying great things about it. He actually turned that team from being terrible with Baker Mayfield and P.J. Walker into actually a pretty decent team. I would say it was at least a respectable team at the end of the year that almost made a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And you go up and you sign Frank Reich, who got fired by the Colts and replaced with Jeff Saturday. Do you think Frank Reich is better than Jeff Saturday as a coach? I would say so, but it got so bad that the Colts are like, yeah, no, you're not our coach anymore. And they hired Jeff Saturday as an interim. And he actually, I think, was close to becoming the head coach this season. At least he made it towards later on interviews. And think about this. Frank Reich already gave up, I think a week or two ago, he already gave up play calling duties to his OC, I think Thomas Brown. So Frank Reich, I don't know if he's the best coach for Bryce Young.
He said certainly hadn't had much luck in the last year or so.
Yeah, and
right?
I'll also
he
say
got fired
this.
by the Colts.
Fired by the Colts.
And now he's 1-7 with the Panthers with the number 1 draft pick.
Yeah.
So I
think
they should have gone with Wilkes. I don't know why they didn't do that. He actually was doing quite a good job. What happened to him?
He's I think the DC of the 49ers.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he landed in a good job then.
Well, not right now. The defense getting cooked right now, and now he's moving from the booth. Now he's moving down onto the field. That was a big story this week. But I'll also say this: Miles Sanders, he had a phenomenal year last year with the Eagles. He comes to the Panthers. People expect. I had him on my fantasy team. He was projected like 13 points a week. He's terrible. He's nowhere near the same as he was last season, and that could be due. That probably is due. Offensive line. The Eagles have had the best offensive line for the past couple seasons. Now you go to the Panthers' offensive line. That isn't great. It's one of the worst. However, I will say this: there are worse offensive lines with quarterbacks who are performing better. The Jets have the worst offensive line. Zach Wilson, he doesn't look great, but he doesn't look horrible. He looks bad. He looks bad, but he doesn't look terrible.
Yeah.
Bryce Young looks terrible.
Yeah.
And I understand he's a
Look
young
at Sam
quarterback.
Howell.
Sam Howell.
It's a terrible offensive line.
Horrible.
Man.
He has
throwing 300 yards a game.
I think he has
multiple touchdowns.
He may have near 40 sacks.
Yeah.
He's gotten sacked.
Beaten up.
This season, Sam Howell has gotten sacked a total of 44 times.
Yeah.
44 times. And yet he's still averaging 275 yards a game. 275 yards a game.
That's growing. I mean, the first few games of the season, he wasn't so great.
Yeah.
He's been improving every game.
Absolutely. And also, we have to say this. The Tennessee Titans have the 31st ranked offensive line. Will Levis is a rookie this year. Will Levis looks really good. Now, I understand. People are going to say, okay, well.
He's played 2 games.
He has played 2 games. However, when you throw a couple 50-yard bombs, and you have arm strength, he looks. I saw this in the preseason. The amount of confidence he had with his throws in the first preseason game, I said, okay, he looks ready to play. C.J. Stroud is the exact turnaround of basically what Bryce Young was expected to be. Bryce Young was expected to be maybe a little bit nervous he was supposed to be really, really a veteran player, and now Bryce Young doesn't look. He looks nervous, like you said.
Yeah.
C.J. Stroud, we talked about on the show. He had 3 passes in that first preseason game against the Patriots.
He looked awful.
He looked terrible. And now he looks like he's a top 10 quarterback in the league and probably deserves an MVP vote or two just because of what he's doing.
He's the leading quarterback last week, right?
He has
5 touchdown passes.
He has the best touchdown to interception ratio since 2016 Tom Brady at 14-1. He's absolutely incredible. And by the way, that interception he threw, I believe the guy who picked it off fumbled the ball, so it wasn't even a full turnover. They got the ball right back.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if you can get that rescinded or not. But
I don't think so.
But for me, obviously, we'll have to wait and see as time progresses. But right now, in the short term of basically what we have in front of us, Bryce Young looks like maybe the 2nd or 3rd best quarterback in his draft class. We'll have to see what Will Levis looks like. Sort of get him to near the same amount of games. But C.J. Stroud obviously looks like the best quarterback. Anthony Richardson, he got hurt, but he was looking great. And then you have Will Levis right now who's throwing bombs to D-Hop. Adam Thielen was a respectable wide receiver too for the Vikings. Now we can't really separate that well. I mean, you had projected talent entering this season. It hasn't really stepped up to the plate and performed. Your defense is still good. I mean, think about it. Let me ask you this question. The defense allowed 16 points. You did not score an offensive touchdown. The way you got to 13 was on a punt return touchdown. Could Andy Dalton beat this Bears team last night?
Probably.
Absolutely. We've even seen Andy Dalton this season move the ball much better than Bryce Young did. So maybe it's not about the talent. Maybe it's not the fact that Adam Thielen can't separate. Maybe it's not the fact that Miles Sanders is having a very, very bad season. Andy Dalton can move the ball with this offense. Bryce Young can't.
Well, maybe they should let Bryce Young watch for a bit.
You can't do that. He's the first overall pick. You can't do that.
But, maybe a game or two.
Well, he already
got
hurt.
Quite a few games.
He got hurt. Yeah. Well, it depends on what you're going for.
I'm saying now, he's played poorly. Maybe let him sit down for a week or two and let.
If anything, that helps the Bears because the Bears have your first round pick. So right now they're at number one because you're so bad.
Yeah.
So they're going from giving up the number one pick to then getting right back in the next year.
Yeah, they're gonna. At some point, the Bears maybe will be good. It's been a long time, man. They have so many years being bad.
Yeah.
Really bad. That's tough for Chicago. I mean, they are not good.
They still don't have a 4,000
you have to go back
yard
to Mike
passer.
Ditka.
Yeah.
Being their coach.
Yeah.
To have some teams that were really good. They had a couple of spurts there after Ditka, but not much. It's been pretty grim, really.
They have yet to have a 4,000 yard passer in a season. They don't have that ever. They've never had a quarterback throw for 4,000 or more yards.
Okay.
That shows you just how bad that quarterback situation has been in the history. Jay Cutler was okay, not great, not phenomenal, but he wasn't horrible. He was okay. So think about it. The best quarterback the Bears have had in a very long time may have been Mitch Trubisky. He at least made the playoffs. He made the playoffs.
Yeah, it's true.
Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
That right now is just scraps for the Steelers.
Yeah.
It's scraps for the Bills.
Yeah.
He was your best quarterback. Maybe he moved off him too soon.
Doesn't say much about their ability to recruit good quarterbacks, does it?
Yeah, no.
I think Justin Fields. I am giving up on him.
I haven't given up on him yet.
He had.
I don't know.
It's a shame that he got his thumb hurt there. Maybe he can get back in there this second half of the year and show us something.
Yeah, maybe you hope to see that. Although that does affect where you're drafting. However, though, if that first pick that you have is the Panthers pick, they're terrible. This is probably their best chance at winning another game throughout the back half of the season.
You think they'll draft if they wind up with the number one pick? Do you think they'll draft another quarterback?
I don't think so. I'd say you go.
They might be making a big mistake if they don't.
That's true. That's true. But then you have the opportunity to trade back and get a bunch of things for it. Think about it. If the Giants are that desperate, if the Giants are that desperate and the defense is that bad, could the Giants give up Xavier McKinney? Could they give up Adoree Jackson? Could they give up Dexter Lawrence or any one of these? Can they give up Saquon? You have things. If you have the first overall pick, you could do a lot of things.
Saquon's he's a 1-year contract, so
he's on the franchise.
But he
tag.
could be the franchise,
right? So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I'd say right now you have to wait and see. Bryce Young, he's in the first year of his career, but currently he does not look that good. Let's go into our next topic. Let's talk about Kyler Murray. So Kyler Murray was activated off the PUP list earlier this week and is projected to start on Sunday. A lot of question marks. We talked about it. There were rumors before the season that the Cardinals may shut him down for the entire year. He won't play. We talked about that on the show. We've also talked about former teammates and former GMs talking about Kyler in a negative light. Not too good. However, he has had his moments. He's had the Murray miracle and that deep ball to D-Hop against the Bills. He's had a couple great moments, but he's also had a couple bad moments. Last season definitely was a highlight, or I guess I should say a low light in his career. So I want to know, what are you looking for in Kyler Murray's return to the NFL after tearing his ACL last year against the Patriots?
No, I think I'm looking for him to manage the game. And not turn the ball over. I'm not looking for him to be running around outside the pocket. He's coming back from an ACL. It's his first game. He's going to be tentative on that knee. So I'm looking for him to be smart with the ball, stay in the pocket, Throw the ball, maybe the dink and dunk to start off a little bit. Maybe get their running game going a little bit. And I'm cautiously optimistic that he'll get back in the swing of things. And, near the end of the season, he'll be playing back to some of the levels that he can play at. I wouldn't say he's consistently plays at. He has some games, his consistency is somewhat of an issue. So if he can play up to the talent level that he played when he's playing well, and he can get back to that near the end of the year, then I think he'll definitely be back with them next year.
Well, I'm going to be a little bit more harsh than you are, because when you take him off the injury report, it says he has no restrictions, he has no injury designation, he's basically 100% all clear. Let's go. We're good to go. That basically means, so go out there and do what you normally do. I understand your confidence may not be there, but if you're posting on social media how ready you are to get back to the NFL action, what I expect is for you to be the same Kyler Murray we've always seen. If not, a more motivated and a potentially better version of Kyler Murray. I will say this, though. One question that's always been out there is him and his video games. A new Call of Duty drops soon. Will we see a decline of Kyler Murray, as someone on social media pointed out? Kyler Murray with new Call of Duty drops, yet his performance does decline, ironically, the same time new Call of Duties drop. Now we have a new Call of Duty drop right before he's into NFL action. Could we see a not great Kyler Murray because he's too busy playing Call of Duty? Maybe, but I'm going to say no just for the sake of this argument. So what I'm expecting a Kyler Murray that if he has to run, he will run with confidence. I expect Kyler Murray to be pretty good because he was a former first overall pick. So I expect him to perform very, very well. If he doesn't, I say we go back to the conversation of the Cardinals. The Cardinals are in store for a new quarterback next season. I'm going to say that right now. Now, projected right now, they're at the number 1 overall pick. I see right now, at least Sports Illustrated has them drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 1. And by the way, that's a phenomenal pick. I guarantee you, if Mac Jones plays better at the end of the year, and I guess the Patriots have a little bit more confidence, but the Patriots still have a top 4 pick, I'd say they should draft him if he's available. Because guess what? If Mac Jones plays well, that is what it is. But I think Marvin Harrison, he's going to be a phenomenal receiver for the Cardinals. But if Kyler Murray really stinks, and right now they're 1-8, if Kyler Murray does not get them to, let's say there's 8-9 games left, let's say he doesn't get them 4 or 5 more wins, I would say there's a potential opportunity for the Cardinals to seriously consider a quarterback, because this might be one of the best, if not the best, quarterback draft classes we've seen in a very, very long time. There's a real potential that there are 6 first-round draft picks at the quarterback position in this draft. So if you have an opportunity to get one of those first-round talents at quarterback, even if he's just a backup Kyler Murray, get a J.J. McCarthy, get a Michael Penix, get a Bo Nix, although Bo Nix is a little bit old, you may not want to put him on the bench for that long. But if you want to get one of these quarterbacks that you could sit for a year or two, then you could trade away Kyler Murray. You could trade him away. But for me and my expectations, he was a Pro Bowler. He's had his moments. We've gotten grilled several times by people on our takes with Kyler Murray. So then what should I expect then? I should expect what people are always telling me. He's going to be that guy. He's going to go out there and perform very well. So that's what I'm putting those expectations in. And a little spoiler alert for later on in the show, we both have the Cardinals winning. We both have the Cardinals winning this game against the Falcons.
I'm picking him to win because he's playing.
Exactly, yeah. If Clayton Tune was out there, I guarantee you. Yeah. I mean, he played horrible last week. I guarantee you the Cardinals like, yeah, Kyler Q, hurry it up a little bit, get back here. We have Clayton Tune out there at quarterback. Not too good. Not good.
I never heard of Clayton Tune.
No, well, you won't hear from me. No, so I'll also say this. The fact that the Falcons are favored by 1.5 points in this game when Kyler Murray's coming back like it's official.
Yeah, they don't expect much from him.
I was going to say, they don't expect much. They think, Taylor Heineke is going out there and going to perform very, very well.
He's played well the last 2 games. He hasn't got a win, but he's played pretty well the last couple of games.
He's played okay. So what I'm expecting from Kyler, go out there and win the game. You could throw for 150 yards. Just be smart with the football. You could dink and dunk your way to victory because you're coming back. I'm not going to grill you for dinking and dunking. But just go out there and look decent. Show some confidence. Don't be like Bryce Young where he looks scared in the pocket. Don't be Mac Jones where if he's backtracking, it looks like he's running away from a beast that's approaching him. No. Step into your throws with confidence, play confident football, and then guess what? You won't get all the hate because guess what? You're not playing bad. Play well, you won't get the hate. For me, it's as simple as that. Just be confident in your ability. You post on social media. You're aching to get back here. Well, here's your opportunity. You can't be worse than Clayton Tune. Josh Dobbs looks respectable, but at least when he was with the Cardinals, how good can you be in comparison to him so far?
That'll be interesting to see. Josh Dobbs didn't play that badly for the Cardinals.
He didn't play that badly. Yeah. He had a very, very good win over the Cowboys. Yeah. They choked against the Giants.
Interestingly, what's the Cardinals' record right now?
1-8.
1-8.
1-8. I will say this though, Murray is coming off he's coming off the worst season he's ever had in his NFL career. 2,300 yards, 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions in 11 games. Not good. Not good. Passer rating of 87.2, a QBR of 53.6, so that's slightly above average. Scale of 0 to 100.
Maybe the time off, rehabbing his injury, had a chance to reflect on what football really means to him. Maybe it means more than playing Call of Duty.
Maybe.
We'll see.
You would hope so if you're giving him that massive contract. You expect it to be more important.
Well, they called him out on it in the contract. Yeah, right? Now everybody knows about it, and all the sports announcers are talking about it like us.
Yeah. No, we discussed it through and throwback.
Every time we talk about him, we bring it up.
Well, I mean, if you put a homework clause in a contract that you signed, that's a problem. That shows immaturity.
Probably never read the contract. Somebody
your
told him
agent,
that was in
his
there.
agent probably did. He didn't read it. But then again, I don't know. Kyler Murray, I think at least for me, yes, you should show some confidence, but all in all, just win the game. That's all we could ask. Just win the game at that point. The Cardinals have been very, very bad. So at least give Arizona Cardinals fans some hope that you are their quarterback of the future. Otherwise, this offseason is going to be interesting if Kyler Murray does not perform very well. All right, coming up, I showcase a new version of Nate's Notches. Also, what do we expect from the we make our Week 10 official picks. LeBron James, there's questions out. He responded to whether or not his career would be the same or different if he didn't go to Miami about a decade ago. And also, my Harvey Hothead. I'm on a streak here. I started something good. I'm hopefully going to bounce back here and start something really, really positive. You go 4-1 the first couple weeks, then you sail to 1-4 the next couple weeks. Not too good, but I went 3-2 last week. It's going to be fun, and I'll talk about that right after this.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the content.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. It's time to jump into my new version of Nate's Notches. So this version is a little bit different. As some of you know, if you've been with the show a little bit of a long time, basically what I do is I list out that I categorize each team under a certain category, and that's how I basically make my list. Instead, I decided to do just a top 10 teams list. So let's jump in. These are my top 10 teams moving forward throughout the rest of the year. I don't know if I'm going to do it next time, but so far, this is how Nate's Notches is going to be for the time being. So let's go with my first one at number 10.
Number 10.
I got the Cleveland Browns. I understand. There's a lot of teams out there. It's very, very difficult to really hone in on 10 teams that are the best in the NFL. But the Cleveland Browns, their defense is absolutely insane. They're number one in third down defense. They're number one in total defense. Number number 1 graded pass rush by Pro Football Focus. Offensively, they are they're number 3 in rushing. Also, let's go back to defense for a second. They're 3rd in points allowed. No one's scoring. No one's moving the ball very well. No one's really they're getting off the field on 3rd down, which is incredible. Think about this. P.J. Walker and this team really started that 49ers collapse so far this season by beating them. I understand it's on a missed field goal, but when the offense averages over 33 points a game and you hold them to 17, that is a huge, huge positive and huge plus for your team. And also, even with Deshaun Watson's QB, is he playing? Is he not? Rotator cuff, but he's medically cleared to play. What's going on with his situation? They still have seemed to come through and perform very well, very, very well. I got the Cleveland Browns at number 10, sorry.
Number 9.
Number 9, I got the Detroit Lions. This may be a little bit low, but there's a lot of question marks swirling in the air about the Lions. But there's a lot of positives with this team. First off, they're 2nd in total offense. They're 5th in total defense. They're 6th in passing and rush offense. They're 3rd in rush defense. This team, there's a lot of questions, especially what we saw last season, being the 31st or 32nd ranked defense in the league. How can they turn this around, especially entering the season? People thought, okay, well, they drafted a few pieces like Jack Campbell, the linebacker. There were a few, you added a few pieces here and there, but in totality, how is this defense going to look? Well, they look phenomenal. This is a total team turnaround, and I think with a lot of questions surrounding Mike McDaniel and how good the Dolphins actually are, I really think Dan Campbell is right back in there for Coach of the Year, and I do think he gets it. The Lions are good against really, really good teams. I don't know exactly how they're going to perform. They got absolutely smoked by the Ravens. So if that's an indication of what's to come for the Lions, I'm not going to love it, but I do think the Lions deserve to be in the top 10 list at number 9. Let's move on to the next one.
Number 8.
Speaking of Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins are at my number 8 spot. I understand they're 1st in total offense, 1st in rushing, 1st in passing. They're also 1st in red zone percentage. I understand that also. Tua has been an MVP candidate basically the entire season. However, as we talked about previously on the show, there's some serious concerns of whether or not this team can beat good teams, or at least teams over 500. We saw twice against the Bills, against the Chiefs, and like this team, and I believe also against the Eagles. This team cannot win against really, really good teams. That is a serious discrepancy. Now they play three or four really, really good teams at the end of the year. That will be a huge indication whether or not the Dolphins are going to be first-round busts or if they could actually win a playoff game. If they go 4-0 against these really, really good teams to end the year, well, then we could all just say, oh, I guess it was just early season woes. They played some bad teams early in the year, so they couldn't exactly ramp up to play phenomenal competition. This time, you end the year 4-0 with those 4 really good teams, you can say, okay, they could probably win a playoff game. But I think the Dolphins, they slipped a lot. I would probably put them in number 1, 2, or 3 earlier in the season, but I think they slipped a decent amount all the way to number 8. Let's go with the next one.
Number 7.
Number 7, I got the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I've always talked about how they are probably the most complete team. However, when you average 33 points a game, and now you're on a serious losing streak, where you're averaging about 17 points a game, that is definitely something. Also, when you're only giving up about 16 points a game, and they're averaging well over 24, that's seriously concerning. So much so they went out and traded for Chase Young. But there are some obvious positives, and the reason why they have been such a good team so far this season and why people are saying Brock Purdy is an MVP candidate and whatnot is because they are 4th in total offense. They are 4th in third down offense. They are 5th in red zone offense. The defense has shown some weakness in the past 3 games, but I think they have an opportunity to turn it around this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, it's going to be a very, very tough competition because the Jaguars are a ramp-up team right now. They are playing phenomenally so far, and I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see whether or not the 49ers can keep up with the competition, go out and beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Brock Purdy, if he needs to come back late in the game, can he do it? So far, he hasn't been able to, so that's another concern for the 49ers, but they are a very, very deep team. They are a very, very talented team. Debo is on his way back. He may be coming back this week, I believe. So that's just another piece to your arsenal. I got the 49ers at number 7.
Number 6.
I got the Jacksonville Jaguars, who right now have won 5 straight. Now, the past 2 seasons, they start very, very slow, but towards the second half of the season, they ramp it up, and it looks like we're right back at that spot right now. The defense this season leads the league in takeaways, which is massive. You give Trevor Lawrence more opportunities to score, and you give the opposing teams less time to score, less opportunities to score. During their 5-game winning streak, they have 2+ takeaways in 4 of 5 of those games. So they're taking the ball away a tremendous amount. That's why they're first in takeaways. The first 3 games, they were only scoring about 19 points per game. Now, in the last 5 games, nearly 30, 27.2 if you want the actual number. So they are scoring a lot more, taking the ball away a lot more. They have a good shot at the number 1 seed, which was a potential hot take to start the season because I think they went 9-8 last season and almost had an opportunity to get absolutely blown out by the Chargers, but had a great comeback game and did have an opportunity to beat Mahomes to move on to the AFC Championship game. But this season, they do have a very, very good shot at the number 1 seed. And if they beat the 49ers, I would expect them to be there until the very, very end. They're hitting a stride at the very, very best time to hit one at the second half of the season, so you could show exactly who you are, show how dominant you could be. I got the Jaguars at number 6.
Number 5.
Number 5, I got the Dallas Cowboys. They're third in total defense. Think about it. They outplayed the Philadelphia Eagles, who have the best record in the NFL. They still lost because of unfortunate circumstances, a lot of fumbles that the Eagles were able to recover. But I'll say this. I think everyone, a lot of people rip on Dak Prescott, and we have on the show previously, for not showing up in big spots. However, he is maybe playing his best football of his career, at least the best football so far this season recently, and that's big. I would say right now, they outplayed the Eagles, they outplayed the Chargers earlier in the year in prime time, which is another thing. We always rip on Dak Prescott making the crucial error in prime time. But I would think if Dak Prescott plays mistake-free or near mistake-free football, I would say this Cowboys team can go pretty far. I think that's going to be huge for them if Dak can play efficiently, effectively, and play very, very well. So I got the Cowboys at number 5.
Number 4.
Number 4, I got the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I understand why a lot of people may be questioning the legitimacy of a Bengals team being at number 4. Well, here's why. After an absolutely crippling start to the season because of Joe Burrow's injury, it seems like they're back on track right now. They're on a 4-game winning streak, and they're beating up on teams like the Bills and the 49ers. The defense has been playing absolutely out of their minds lately. 2+ takeaways in each game of the winning streak, of that 4-game winning streak, which, again, just like the Jaguars, is incredible. You're creating more opportunities for your offense, and you're taking chances away from the opposing offense, which is massive when you're going up against teams like the 49ers and like the Bills, who have explosive offenses and at least offensively are super, super talented, which is massive. Burrow, speaking about him, he absolutely tore up that 49ers defense. The 49ers defense, like everyone has been saying, is the best one. They're the deepest one, and Burrow tore it to absolute shreds. Also, the Buffalo Bills defense, while it is banged up slightly, a little bit more than slightly, he still was very, very effective in that game. I think he threw for like 300-something yards in that game, which is absolutely incredible. He outplayed Josh Allen. I think, honestly, if we're talking about it, Josh Allen has regressed a lot. I'm going to say a lot. So I would say the Bengals are number 4. They're hitting stride at the right time. Burrow's back in the MVP conversation. I got them at number 4.
Number 3.
This one I think is a surprise just based on the place I put their quarterback, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs at number 3. So for 40 minutes, this Chiefs defense absolutely embarrassed the Dolphins offense. They didn't score until 12 minutes in the third quarter, or maybe even later than that. It was terrible, absolutely terrible for the Dolphins, and the Chiefs defense was responsible for it. They're 4th in total offense, and I think that is absolutely insane when you think of the talent they have around them. They got really nobody. If Travis Kelce doesn't have Taylor Swift at the game, he's basically shut down. Just look at the numbers. Look in the Dolphins game. He was a no factor in that game, and they still, at least basically entering the second half, they look like they could put up 40 on the Dolphins. So I'm a little concerned for how far this team can go with the lackluster offense that they have against going up against teams like the Jaguars and like the Bengals. The Dolphins, that's interesting because you just beat them, but maybe if they get something going, like I said, if they go 4-0 to end the season, then maybe you have a little bit of concern. But the Jaguars, I think the Bills are going to be interesting later on in the year. But the Bills, I would say definitely the Bengals. Those are the teams that I think could once again disrupt the Chiefs. And it may be interesting later on in the year to see just how good the Chiefs could be with that offense. And especially come playoff time, what magic Mahomes can string together like he normally does. We'll have to wait and see. But let's move on now to the final two spots. Who's going to be at number two? The Baltimore Ravens, the best rushing offense in the NFL. They're 6th in total offense. They're 2nd in total defense. This defense, I could see signs of it being like the early 2000s Ravens defense. I mean, this defense is shutting teams down. So much so, the defense is 1st in points allowed, 2nd in yards per game allowed, 3rd in sack percentage, nearly 10% sack percentage. That means 1 out of every 10 dropbacks, you're going down as a quarterback. So I think this is the best Ravens team we've seen in a very, very long time. This is a better Ravens team on all phases of the game, even in Lamar Jackson's unanimous MVP year, because Lamar is not being the superstar runner. He's using his legs very, very effectively, but the throwing game, I mentioned this before talking about my top 10 quarterbacks, with Todd Monken, his OC, coming from Georgia, his passing game has developed incredibly. Look at the grades. You can look at Lamar Jackson's passing grades since his rookie year, or really his first year starting, up until now, they've gotten better and better and better and better. They're insane. Right now, Lamar Jackson leads the league in completion percentage, and overall, like I said, throwing game has absolutely improved to the nth degree. So the Ravens right now are my number 2 team, just because the number one team for me is the Philadelphia Eagles. They have the best record in the NFL. They're 3rd in total offense, 2nd in points scored. They're the best rushing team in the NFL. They have the most unstoppable play, so much so a lot of teams are crying about it, and people are saying, "Oh, ban the move, ban the brotherly shove." It's basically a QB sneak with a little bit of a push. Is why I call it a tush push. If you can't stop it, well, a lot of teams have tried. A lot of teams have failed. The Eagles are the only ones that are super successful at the tush push. So maybe figure out a way how to beat them. But they easily have the best offensive line in the NFL. Their defense is absolutely incredible. Jalen Carter is going for Defensive Rookie of the Year. He probably has it in the bag, and I think honestly he could probably get a couple votes for Defensive Player in the Year. This is what I find fascinating. Even when they're not at their best, like in the Cowboys game, they still could come out with the win. I think that's very, very telling for how far this Eagles team can go. If you're not even at your best and you're beating some of the top teams, not only in your division, not only in the conference, but in the NFL. If you're not at your best and you're still winning games, that's very, very telling for how far this Eagles team can go. I want to know, what is your opinion on my top 10 list? Do you hate it? You love it? You're indifferent about it? How do you feel?
Well, I think you make some good arguments for the picks that you made and the places you put the teams. I would say it'd be interesting watching the Jacksonville-San Francisco game this weekend, right? Yeah. Because if Jacksonville beats them, then they'll stay at, and your picks, they're 6. But if San Francisco wins, would you flip them?
It depends.
Would you flip them?
If we're talking about late game-winning field goal, probably not. But if we're talking the 49ers score 35, Jacksonville scores 21, then we're talking about it. San Francisco will probably move up a couple spots.
I see. I see the Chiefs down at number 3. I tend to agree with that now. They have problems with wide receiver. And
dropping the ball is just overall not great talent.
Mahomes is not up to his normal elite self of passing the ball. He's had a number of games under 200 yards. It's because those wide receivers, I just don't think they're that good. I think they might have underestimated what they needed there at the wide receiver spot. Kelsey's great, and with Taylor's there, he's even better. But in the wide receivers, I think that's their weakness. And I think the Bengals, you moved them up to 4. They're playing better. They look a lot like last year, where they started slow and now they're really getting going. The Cowboys, I don't know. They're hard to read. I mean, this is the best team they've had in a while, I think. And with Dak playing more mistake-free football, then I think at number 5 that makes a lot of sense. And I do think the Eagles are number 1. I think this is Lamar's best year to make it to the Super Bowl. They've got the great defense going, and he's got a passing game now. And when he throws, it's like he throws a dart. He's got a strong arm, I think. He looks kind of funny the way he throws it, but he throws a dart.
Yeah.
And he's accurate with it, right? He's got the highest completion percentage. Can he win in the playoffs? We'll have to wait and see.
I think that is a pretty big question.
Yeah.
So, that's my top 10 list. We're going down from 10 to 1. I got Browns, Lions, Dolphins, Niners, Jaguars, Cowboys, Bengals, Chiefs, Ravens, Eagles. That is my top 10 teams list. That is the new version of Nate's Notches. Let's talk about this. I found this fascinating when I saw it. But LeBron James responded to a tweet from Legion Hoops that says, LeBron James says he'd still be just as dominant if he never went to Miami. And LeBron James responded on Twitter, or X, saying, "You're damn right I would still be. I'm chosen. Ain't nothing changing that. Maybe less rings, but dominant from start to finish." I want to know, do you agree with LeBron James's comments that he'd still be as dominant as ever, but maybe just less rings?
So in his mind, dominant means scoring a lot of points, getting a lot of rebounds, having a lot of assists, having a lot of triple doubles. That's what dominant means to him. To me, dominant means playing in a system with your teammates, making them play better, getting you to a championship.
Okay.
Yeah. And to me, that's what happened when he went to Miami, right? He got with those guys and he won two championships. He was in 3. They lost 1. He won 2 out of 3. So I think that, to me, I have a little bit different definition of dominant. And if dominance to me means winning, to him it means stats, I guess. Is that right? I don't know. What's your take?
Well, I think if we're talking about stats themselves, and you're saying LeBron James would still be averaging, 28 points a game like he has throughout his career. Sure. I still think LeBron James himself would be as dominant as he's ever been. However, there's a reason why people like me and people everywhere, no matter how old you are, as soon as you understand sports and you look at you other play NBA 2K or whatever the case may be, you are now officially, you probably have an opinion in who's the greatest of all time, Jordan or LeBron. If LeBron doesn't win those rings in Miami, those 2 rings in Miami, he's not in the GOAT conversation. He may be in like one of the greatest players, but he's not going to be, he's the greatest of all time. It's him or Michael. Because it's what? Mike would be 6-0. LeBron would be what? 2-3, 2-4 in the finals?
Yeah.
He wouldn't be in the GOAT conversation. You don't have enough rings. Now you have 4 rings.
So that means dominance means winning championships.
Not only I'm talking about career dominance, sure, absolutely. But
he doesn't seem to think that, because if he hadn't gone to Miami, he wouldn't have the 2 rings.
I would say individual dominance, I would say yes, he'd be somewhat of the same. But if you're telling me that LeBron James would even be considered the greatest of all time, him or Michael Jordan, no. I can't say that, because yes, he does. He went to the finals, 10 times, which is absolutely insane. But I think a majority of those were with Miami. And not only that, I'm going to argue this. People say, well, LeBron was so dominant individually, he could carry teams to the finals. Is that why he asked D. Wade and Chris Bosh and Ray Allen and Trevor Ariza to come to Cleveland to help him win a championship? No, you're right. Yes, he did carry a Cleveland Cavaliers team that did not deserve to be in the finals. He got him there, and he got swept. If players, yes, and LeBron James, he was maybe one of the highest scouted prospects, and now we're talking about Victor Wembanyama. He's probably the next best scouted prospect since LeBron. He couldn't lure anyone there. Think about it. Would KD go to the Warriors if the Warriors didn't already win a championship? There were interesting teams out there that he could have gone to. Maybe bigger markets like a New York, like a Los Angeles.
Himself for not staying with the Warriors.
But what I'm saying is that would he go if the Warriors, by the way, didn't just win 63 games that year, or 73 games, 73 games that season, and win the finals a couple years ago? Would KD really be, I'm going to go to a Warriors team or I'm going to go to any other team because this team isn't that good? They may have made it to the finals, but if you get crushed in the finals, if you get swept in the finals, KD probably ain't going there. Instead, they won a championship. They did win 73 games. They broke an NBA record. They didn't win. They lost in 6. But KD actually saw it up close because that Thunder team was up 3-1 against the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, and the Warriors reverse swept them. And now the Warriors got reverse swept in that next series. So for me, individually, yes, LeBron would still be The guy that averages about 28 points a game, who also averages about 8 rebounds and 8 assists. That I'm not going to, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. I'm not going to dispute that. Because guess what? LeBron has been one of the most consistent players in NBA history. That's just the facts. But if we're talking about him being the greatest of all time, if we're talking about career dominance, not individual, but overall cascading career dominance, I can't say he'd be in the GOAT conversation. He may be an interesting one, but then we could turn it down with saying, oh, he only won 2 finals. He only made it to, 4?
In his mind, dominance doesn't mean winning championships. It means stats.
Well,
that's what he means. It mean that, Nate. Otherwise, he wouldn't say that. He wouldn't say that not being in Miami that makes a difference.
Like I said, maybe less rings, but still dominant as ever. So I'm taking it with playing wise. He still think he's all that great. I'm taking it from the point of if now
in terms of stats. Maybe he's right.
Right.
In terms of stats, but to me, dominance means.
But then
means a team that is a
you're
legacy,
finishing the job.
A legacy team.
You're finishing the job.
You're the team that has a dominance. It's a dominant team. You make the people around you better, and together you win championships.
And I'll say this:
that's dominance.
With LeBron going to Miami, we can now see he has made his teammates better. Miami was looking for that championship after Shaq and D-Wade and that championship in 2006. Now they were looking for one with Bosh and Wade. You get LeBron in there. Obviously, they're the best team in the East. They were the best team in the NBA up against the San Antonio Spurs. So when I'm taking a look at this, right, I'll say this. LeBron James obviously is 1 or 2. Is 1A, 1B? I don't know. You say Jordan is, if I'm not mistaken, you say Jordan.
I still think Jordan's
you
number
still
1.
think Jordan. I'm thinking LeBron is. I think if LeBron didn't go to Miami, but he was still putting up those numbers, I think an argument could be why he wouldn't be considered one of the greatest of all time. What did that amount to? Yes, you were basically you say you're stat padding. All you're doing is scoring points, but what are you doing outside of that? It's the James Harden thing. James Harden, I guarantee, will be in the Hall of Fame, but he's not considered one of the greats. He was dropping 34 points a game, but it wasn't amounting to anything. Yes, he was getting to the playoffs, but he wasn't getting to finals. He wasn't winning finals. He was winning MVPs. We don't consider him the best point guard of all time because Curry's there, because Magic Johnson's there. 2 phenomenal point guards. Now 2 different ones. Magic a passer, Curry a scorer. But we're talking about in this era of basketball, if you're comparing James Harden and Steph Curry, I think most people would take Steph Curry. He gets you rings. He's won before KD and after KD.
I agree.
Think about his game now. He's scoring 30 points a game at 35 years old? He's manipulated his game from being a primary scorer to now driving more, dishing out more, creating opportunities for his teammates. When you talk about dominance in that case, he's one of the greatest offensive catalysts right now in the NBA. He's making teammates better. So, if we're talking...
That's my definition of dominance.
Right. No, dominating your sport. You can dominate on the floor, but
dominating
the
in
total
stats.
Of the NBA. Yeah,
not
exactly.
Dominating in stats.
So, for me, the argument is, dominant as an individual player, putting up numbers, sure. I'm not going to argue that because guess what? You've averaged 27 points a game, 7 rebounds, 7 assists in your career. And by the way, in Miami, you actually had some of the lowest scoring years. 25 points, 27 points. You're now scoring like 27 and 30 points in your near 40s. So you're getting. And sometimes LeBron's kind of been like fine wine.
There is dominance. There's a dominance in stats. That's fine. There's been a lot of players who've been dominant in stats. Look at Karl Malone.
Right.
Anyone ever mention his name much? He never won a championship, right?
Yeah.
But he was a dominant player.
Yeah.
And in terms of stats, dominance in terms of your legacy, it requires rings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I don't know. I don't entirely agree with LeBron because we have, I guess, people have different ideas of when you think of dominance
means.
Individual versus all-time dominance, I would say there is a line there to be drawn. LeBron individual, sure. Historically, there's a reason why he's even in the conversation. That's because he has 4 rings and went to 10 NBA Finals. So there you go. All right, let's get into our picks of the week. Week 10 picks. We always do this every single week. We pick every single game heading into Week 10. Let's begin with my picks of the week. So last night, like we talked about earlier, the Bears did get the win, but they didn't cover, unfortunately, so we were about half right. We start off 0-1 on the spread and 1-0 in the win-loss column. Let's go to the 9:30 a.m. game. Wake up early. The Patriots and the Colts are playing in Frankfurt, Germany. I got the Patriots winning here and obviously covering the plus 1.5. Belichick in his career is 3-0 in international games. Mexico City, Germany, England. He's undefeated. So I'm going to take the Patriots record. Belichick coaching, reportedly, they seem really chill in the press conferences, so clearly something's going on. They benched Trent Brown for the week. They benched J.C. Jackson. They benched Jack Jones. A missing curfew, not being reliable. I don't know exactly what's going on, but apparently, according to, I believe, Dietrich Wise, he said they took it like a man, and they're moving forward. They'll be back after the bye week. So I'm going to say the Patriots win here and beat the Colts. I do have some worries. Jonathan Taylor, they put up a lot of points. Gardner Minshew, but I think the Patriots just somehow get it done and win outright. Next one. Texans at Bengals. I got the Bengals winning, but the Texans covering. It looks like T. Higgins is out, and Jamar Chase is a serious question mark to play in this game. Nico Collins, however, does appear like he's not going to be able to play, but because I do think, this game's going to be interesting. I think C.J. Stroud, Tank Dell, they have a great connection. I think they're going to have a phenomenal game together. I'll take the Bengals to win, but the Texans do cover that 6.5 point spread. The next one, the Ravens and the Browns. Browns on the road. Ravens favored by 6.5 points. I'm going to say that they take it. The Ravens have been dominant all year. I think they crush. Crush is a strong word, but I do think they win by more than a touchdown. The Browns quarterback situation, Deshaun Watson looked great, but it was against the Cardinals. That defense looked great, but they just played the Cardinals. Now you're going up against a team which defensively, the Ravens, like I talked about earlier, they're one of the best defensive teams. They're looking like the 2000 Ravens out here. Lamar Jackson, passing-wise, has been one of the best quarterbacks, and in his career, he's looked like the best passing quarterback that he's really developed into so far. So I'll take the Ravens to win and cover the minus 6.5 point spread. The next one, Saints at Vikings. Saints -3 on the road. I want to take that, actually. Now, I understand Josh Dobbs, phenomenal performance. It was an unknown. Josh Dobbs coming in instead of, Jalen Hall or whatever his name is. I'm going to take the Saints to win. I think their defense is stepping up. Derek Carr looks a little bit better. He is missing a couple throws here and there, but I do think Derek Carr has been playing better. The Saints are going to get this win and cover the -3 points, but I just have a funny feeling the Saints are going to get it done. Next one, I was really contemplating picking this team, but 49ers to Jaguars, I got to go with the 49ers. They're going to have a bounce-back game here and there, or eventually, I should say. And I think this game could be the bounce-back game because you're coming off of a bye, and I just think Kyle Shanahan's going to grill into his players. You're bringing Steve Wilkes down from the booth onto the field. I don't know if that's going to do anything for you, but you're making a move, I guess you could say. Brock Purdy needs to get something going. You can't be scoring 17 points a game with the amount of talent that you have. The offensive line is a huge question, but Trent Williams seems to be coming back, and they are a significantly better team when Trent Williams is out there. So I'm going to say the 49ers win and cover the -3 point spread on the road. Next one, Packers at Steelers. I'll take the Steelers to win and cover the -3 point spread at home. Jordan Love, very, very low completion percentage, a lot of turnovers. The Steelers defense, I think, is going to take over in this game, disrupt the Packers passing lanes. I think Kenny Pickett in this offense, it's still bad, but it's not as bad as it has been before. They're at least moving the ball a little bit better. Warren, the running back, has looked better, at least in the past couple weeks. Najee Harris is looking better. He doesn't look as slow. So I'll take the Steelers to win and cover the -3 point spread. The next one, Titans at Bucks. Bucks favored by 1.5 at home. I'll take Will Levis in his first official secure job at quarterback one for the Titans. I'll take them and him to beat the Buccaneers and win outright, obviously covering the +1.5 points. But I think he gets it done. He's a phenomenal deep ball thrower. He's throwing the deep ball 28.2% of the time, so he's absolutely slinging it. And he's actually not being horrible with the decision-making. He's throwing it to guys that are open. He's trusting D-Hop to be old D-Hop, and he's sort of been successful in a large part of that. So I'll take the Titans to win and beat the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield slips once again. The next one, Lions at Chargers. Lions favored by 3 on the road at the Chargers. I just think with the defense of the Lions going to disrupt what Justin Herbert can do. Also, I don't know exactly. The Chargers defense obviously can get got. And so I'm going to say that Jared Goff gets the job done. The offense looks explosive. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Montgomery's coming back. Penei Sewell is one of, if not the best, offensive linemen in the game right now. You have a lot of pieces to deal with if you're the Chargers defense. Brandon Staley, I'm saying this right now, he's been on the hot seat. If you lose a game like this, Expect changes in the offseason. I'm going to say that right now. I say the Lions win and cover the minus 3-point spread. The next one, Falcons at Cardinals. We talked about this earlier. Kyler Murray's comeback game against Taylor Heineke, and the Falcons are favored by 1.5 on the road. I'm going to take the Cardinals to win outright. Kyler Murray's comeback game, former first overall pick. Kyler Murray needs to get it done. Come back from an ACL injury. I say he gets the job done. All he needs to do, he can dunk his way to victory. But just get that victory. That's all I care about, at least when it comes to this. I'll say the Cardinals win and cover and win outright, obviously covering the plus 1.5 point spread. The next one, Commanders at Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 6.5. It's interesting. I was really tempted to pick Commanders plus 6.5, but have the Seahawks win. Instead, I'm taking JSN and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Geno Smith and that offense to overpower Sam Howell, and right now he's been playing extremely well. I'll admit that. However, the defense for the Commanders hasn't been all that great. Not only that, you got rid of your two best defensive linemen. That's going to be bad. Mac Jones and that Patriots offense, that was not a good example of how bad this defense could look without your top two defensive linemen. Now, against the Seahawks, when they have three receivers and a decent running game and a pretty good offensive line, yeah, I'll take the Seahawks to win and cover the minus 6.5 point spread. The next one, I don't know if this is the largest point spread I've ever seen. We saw a couple massive point spread this season. But the Giants at the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys favored by minus 17.5. We always talked about this. Never bet double-digit point spreads, especially massive ones. But it's Tommy DeVito up against the Dallas Cowboys. If Daniel Jones couldn't score a point against the Dallas Cowboys defense, what can Tommy DeVito do? I don't know, but I got the Cowboys winning and covering the minus 17.5 point spread. I think this is going to be an absolute blowout. I think the only way the Giants cover the point spread is if by halftime the Cowboys are winning by so much, they take their starters out and they play backups and Tommy DeVito rips on the backups. That's the only way I could see the Giants covering the point spread. I got the Cowboys winning, covering minus 17.5. Woo! Next one, Sunday Night Football. Oh, this one's a great game. Jets at Raiders. I'll take the Raiders here. I made a mistake and picked the Giants to beat the Raiders last week, and the Raiders shellacked the Giants last week. Now, I understand Daniel Jones got hurt, Tommy DeVito in, whatever the case may be. But I'll say this right now. Clearly, the players are into it. They were smoking cigars in the locker room, having a great time after a win against the Giants and Tommy DeVito. So clearly, their energy, their morale is extremely high in that locker room. I'm saying regardless of who they play, I think that's going to carry over. And unfortunately, it's against another bad New York team. I'll say the Raiders beat the Jets and win outright, covering the plus 1 point spread. Raiders get the win and they continue the winning streak under Antonio Pierce. Let's keep it rolling for the Raiders. And finally, Monday Night Football. This is an okay game, not a great primetime game, but I got Denver Broncos at Buffalo Bills. I'll take the Bills win. However, the Broncos do cover the plus 7 point spread. I just think the way the Broncos defense has gotten better lately, it was terrible to start the year. Remember, 70-20. They're getting better, but I think the offense also is not playing as careless as it has been. We saw the Jets game. It was rumbling, tumbling, fumbling all game. The last play of the game for the Broncos, I believe, was a fumble by Russell Wilson. It was very, very bad. I'll take the Bills right now are on a decline. That's why I don't think they blow out the Broncos. I'll take the Bills to win, but the Broncos do cover the plus 7 point spread. You're up.
Okay. I think that's some good analysis there, Nate, on your picks. My picks, I started last night by winning the game but losing the point spread. I thought that the Bears could at least, beat the 3-point point spread. They weren't able to. And that was a rough game. It was an ugly game to watch. Moving on to the Patriots and the Colts. I like the Patriots and beating the point spread there. As you said, Patriots never lost in an international game. Well, anything's possible this year, the way they've been playing. So it'll be fun to watch early in the morning. And I like to see the Patriots get that win and go into the bye week with a win. It would be good for them. The Bengals and the Texans, same with you. I think the Bengals will win. I don't think that they'll cover the point spread, though. Texas is good. I think this will be a close game. The Bengals are lucky to be playing at home. I think that gives them a little bit of an advantage. The Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. I like this is a divisional game. I like the Ravens. I think they're on their way to a deep playoff run. If Lamar can win some playoff games, it's going to be important for him this year because this is the best team they've had for sure. I think they'll cover the point spread here in this game. Moving on to the Saints and the Vikings, I got the Vikings, and I'm taking them to beat the Saints and beat the point spread. Joshua Dobbs, I think this is the Saints are not really that good, and look what Dobbs did when he didn't have any practice. So now he's got a little practice. You'd think that would make him even better with them. He's got some great weapons up there in Minnesota, probably the best weapons he's had as a player coming in as a starter. So we'll see what he can do against the Saints, and I look for them to win. San Francisco against the Jaguars. I see San Francisco bouncing back, even though they're playing on the road. I think they're going to win this game. It's going to be very close. I do think they cover the point spread. I think Brock Purdy bounces back, and I do think they'll score more than 17 points. The Steelers and Green Bay, I think the Green Bay is going to be looking for a new quarterback. I think Jordan Love's not the answer. I think the Steelers have a very good defense, very strong. I think they're a potential playoff team. Kenny Pickett, they don't score a lot of points, but he does have some weapons there. The two wide receivers are very good. I think particularly Pickens. I think he could be really a really strong receiver in the years to come. Moving on to the Titans and the Bucs, I was surprised the Bucs were favored over the Titans. I guess because maybe they're playing at home. I like the Titans in this game with Will Levis, as you say, the official starter now. I think he's the spark that gets the Titans going a little bit. I would like to see Derrick Henry run the ball a little bit better, although the Bucs have a very good run defense. But they have a terrible pass defense, and Levis looks like he's the real deal passing the ball. So I'm looking for the Titans to win and cover the point spread. The Chargers and the Lions, I'm not sold that they're one of the great teams here. They've shown it a couple of times, getting blown out, and now the Chargers are at home, and this is kind of a must-win for them if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. The Lions are probably going to win the division, even if they lose this game. I would think that the Chargers are going to win this game, and Justin Herbert having a very good game against the Lions defense. The Cardinals against the Falcons, another one where we're upset with the Falcons losing to the Cardinals. I did this because of Kyler Murray. I think he comes back, his first game back. He's going to be excited to play. He is a talent. He can really light it up when he's really feeling it. Maybe tough in his first game back, but against the Falcons, I think he's a good chance for the Cardinals to get their second win. Washington against Seattle. You know what? If this were being played in Washington, I might pick Washington because I think that they found something on offense for sure. Their defense, as you said, you really can't rank them right now as being good because of trading away their two top defensive linemen and playing against the Patriots. They didn't look so, they didn't look so great. But they did beat the Patriots, and the Patriots' offense is pretty bad. So I think, the Seahawks are going to maybe have a field day against Washington. But I think it still will be close, and I think they cover the point. I think the Seahawks won't cover the point spread. Dallas against New York. This is a prohibitive Dallas prohibitive favorite. I do think they cover the point spread. The Giants got nothing. Their defense is okay, but their offense, they should just hand the ball off to Saquon every time in this game. I don't think DeVito is anybody ever heard of, and with good reason. Jets and the Raiders. I think I picked the Raiders for essentially the same reason you did. It's a carryover from last week's game, and the coaching change has given them a new spark. And I think the Jets, they have a very good defense. Their offensive line is terrible. They have weapons on offense, but Zach Wilson, it seems to be regressing now. And heaven help him if he does a terrible game against the Raiders, because they'll be calling for his head in New York media. So I don't wish them ill will, the Jets. I picked them in a few games here. I think the reason I'm picking the Raiders is just because of the fact they're playing at home and the coaching change and the carryover from last week. Monday Night Football, I do pick the Bills against the Broncos. The Bills are really spotty. They look like a just better than average team. You don't even have them ranked in your top 10 anymore, Nate.
Yeah.
They've fallen out of the top 10. They doesn't look like they'll win the division this year. Miami's playing better than they are. They've got a game ahead of them. But I do think they'll beat the Broncos. They're playing at home, and the Broncos, they're 3-5 now. I think they won 3 out of their last 4. So I do think it'll be a close game, but I do think the Bills will cover the point spread. Those are my picks.
And there we go. Those are
Can
week
you put it back
10
up
picks.
there again for a second?
Sure.
So I'm 77-59.
Yeah.
And you are
85 and 51.
So you're ahead of me. I haven't had the last couple of weeks. I've been like 500.
Our points, our spread records are very close.
Yeah. 66 and 64. I'm only 2 games up now. Yeah, you're quite a bit ahead of me there.
Well, no, it was 69, 61,
games.
and 6. I'm what, 5 games?
6 games.
3 games. Because we each have 6 ties. It's 69.
Yeah, but on the win-loss, you got
I was talking about
8
spread.
wins. I'm only 2. 2 ahead.
I was talking about spread.
I'm on the spread.
Yeah,
Look at the spread. You get 8 games up in the win column. Win-loss, right? I'm only
8
2.
games. I'm 34
69
games.
and 61. No, 69 minus 61 is 8.
And 6.
Yeah, forget the 6.
Okay.
Those are ties. I'm 66 and 64. We tied on the ties. Right? Yeah.
It's 3 though. 69, 61, 66, 64. That's 3.
You're taking the ties into consideration.
Well, the ties are the same. We each have 6 ties.
I know, but there's a win-loss is 2 games for me. I'm up by 2. 66 versus on the spreads, right? I've won 66. I've lost 64.
I've won 69 and lost 61.
That's 8.
Right, but the difference is what, 3?
Well, the difference is
Well, 6.
I have 2.
The difference is 6.
Yeah.
You said
You're 6
8.
ahead of
you
me.
Said, you said
Yeah,
8.
you've won 8. I've won 2. 8 minus 2 is 6. You're 6 ahead of me.
I don't get what you mean by that. Whatever. I don't know. You're saying 8, 6. You're saying 8 different numbers in front of me. I'm not following you whatsoever. All right, let's get into my Harvey Hot End. For those who don't know, the Harvey Hot End is basically where I pick the 5 hottest teams that you should bet on if you're sports gambling. Obviously, gamble responsibly. I'm actually up this week. I went 3-2 last week. I don't have my record in front of me, but we are above 500. Even in our 1-4 streak, I think we went 1 or 2 weeks where we went 1-4. We're still above 500 even at that point. So hopefully, we went 3-2 last week. We're back in the winning week column. So let's hope, let's pray we maintain that streak and not regress back to being losing 2-3, 1-4, or even worse than that, 0-5. Let's not hope for that. Let's hope we can at least get 3-2 or above. And let's start with the first matchup I have of week number 10.
Lions at Chargers.
So basically, when I think about these 2 matchups, I'm thinking of offense versus defense. The Detroit Lions right now have an incredible offense. I talked about it earlier. They're 2nd in total offense, and they're 5th in total defense as well. They're 6th in pass and rush offense. Their rushing offense and passing offense are absolutely incredible. On the other hand, the Chargers, 30th ranked defense. What about their running game, right? Austin Eckler, people want him to get his money. By all means, go out and try to get the bag. However, is he really that good, or is he just good on fantasy? They're, I think 27th or 21st in running the ball. That is terrible. Going up against the 3rd ranked defense in rush defense. Yeah, no, the Chargers are going to have a rough game here. I think Jared Goff gets it done. I do think they cover the -3 point spread on the road and win 27-21.
Falcons at Cardinals.
This one's interesting on why the fact that even though with Kyler Murray out, or even with Kyler Murray in, I should say, that they're still underdogs. Taylor Heineke and the Falcons team, they've suffered some unfortunate losses, and I think they're going to suffer another one this time. However, I don't think it should be that unfortunate because Kyler Murray will be the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals. It won't be Clayton Tune. They won't be bringing in David Blau. They won't bring in any of these random quarterbacks. Instead, Kyler Murray, who is their franchise quarterback, will be in. I don't understand why they're still underdogs. I'm not entirely sure, but I will take the Cardinals to win outright. Obviously covered the plus 1.5 point spread and win 24-20.
Giants at Cowboys.
We always talk about on the show, never pick double-digit favorites. But when it comes to Tommy DeVito versus the Cowboys defense, and especially with the starting quarterback in week 1, Daniel Jones, going up against this defense and putting up a 0 burger on them, put up a massive goose egg, what could Tommy DeVito do? I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a very, very ugly game. I say the Cowboys win easily, 40-7, covering the minus 17.5 point spread. The only way, I talked about this earlier, the only way the Giants could cover the point spread is if the Cowboys take out their starters at halftime and Tommy DeVito rips on the backups rather. So I'll take the Cowboys to win 40-7. Cover the 17.5 point spread. The next one.
Jets at Raiders.
This one's interesting. I'm taking the carryover hype. I'm taking the carryover morale. I'm taking the belief system. Think about the Panthers last season when Steve Wilkes was the head coach instead of Matt Rule. There was some life in that locker room. The defense played much better. The offense looked at least half acceptable, and I think this is the same situation with the Raiders. They got rid of the OC, they promoted the OC, they got a brand new one, they fired the head coach, they fired the GM, they benched Jimmy G, the starting quarterback. They have a lot of moving parts, and I thought that was going to be detrimental last week, and if anything, it was a massive positive because they crushed on the Giants, and I think they're not going to crush the Jets, but I do think they will carry over that morale and beat the Jets 23-21, winning outright and obviously covering the plus 1 point spread. And the last one.
Broncos at Bills.
Broncos at Bills. This one's another interesting one. Now, I do think the Bills are going to win this game because they're the Buffalo Bills and they're going up against the Denver Broncos. However, I will give the Broncos credit. Their defense has been playing much better than when they lost 70-20 against the Miami Dolphins. Their defense has been playing better. Their offense hasn't been as clumsy as it has been before. I would say Russell Wilson is making better decisions than he did last year. They're definitely putting up more points than last season, and especially coming off of a very, very long week. I would say the Broncos keep it close, and they just beat the Chiefs, by the way, in one of Mahomes' worst games of his career. That also is massive props to the Broncos. I'll say the Bills win 30-24, but the Broncos do cover that plus 7 point spread. And that wraps up Week 10's version of the Harvey Hot Hand. What do you think of my picks?
Well, we'll see. You're still above 500. You started out like a house of fire, right? Yeah. You were 4-1. You were 4-1 several weeks in a row there. You had like the 80% win percentage, and now you had a rough spot there. Now you seem to be on the rebound. But
yeah.
You know what? The difference between 3-2 and 4-1 is a lot, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
4-1 is 80%. Win rate,
yeah.
Right? And
3-2 is 60.
3-2 is 60, so it makes a big difference. So, yeah.
So far this season, I've gone 4-1, 4-1, 3-1-1, 3-1-1, 2-3, 1-4, 1-4, 2-2-1, and last week I went 3-2.
Yeah.
So there we go. Week 10, there you go. Hopefully,
I think what happened is a lot
plus.
of the teams that started out really hot. In the year,
they're fading off. Yeah,
they faded as the parity is coming back.
Normally that's what happens in the season. The teams that were really good last season normally still pick up, but as younger teams that have more players, more unknowns, a lot of moving pieces, they settle in after week 5. That's where more parity comes in, and we've seen that so far. So I don't know. Harvey Hot Hand, we were 54.7. I want to say actually. I can bring it up right now. We were, I think, 54%, if I'm not mistaken.
Last
season. Yeah, we were pretty good.
What's your percentage right now?
Do I even have it? We were 54.49%. I can't do the quick math right now.
Okay. Next week, you should
especially
have it.
After that.
That'll be a coming attraction for next week.
Especially
you can tell
after
us what the percentage
8, 2, 6, 3 after that. I'm not doing math on the show anymore.
You're ahead of me by net 6 games.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Got you. I meant to say I had 3 more wins than you. That's what I want. Yeah. 3 more wins. That's what I want to say. You had 66 wins. I have 69. The net is 6. I agree with you there.
Okay.
What my mind was
Okay,
3 more wins.
3 more wins.
But I also have 3 less losses.
That's right.
That also,
There
yes.
you go.
There
That
you
adds up to 6. 3 and 3 is 6. Okay. Last time I checked.
We've been doing the show for an hour and a half. It's late.
Yeah.
Also, I'll say this. We talk about this occasionally. It wasn't a topic for today's show. Celtics, they're playing the in-game tournament right now.
Oh boy, I want to watch
ESPN right now. They're winning 27-23. Jaylen Brown is making his money. 12 points out of the 27 for the Celtics so far. So there you go. Make sure you guys tune in on Monday. Or no, I said Monday. That's coming up in months. Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully, I'll be able to learn how to do basic math and basic net math. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, we'll recap a bunch of games as always. NBA news, I'm sure we'll talk about some of that. But for now, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We are the Harvey Hour. Catch us Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Bye, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN